Hello and welcome to the Unfulfilled podcast. Today I'm joined by Monika and Sam from Blink SEO / Macaroni, which we'll be talking about today. They support and grow e-commerce brands through working very closely with data. Blink SEO are predominantly SEO focused. They help SEO brands providing data analytics and training internal teams to upskill their departments. Sam's been at the cutting edge for over 10 years within Blink SEO, implementing things like 4-day-a-week working. They work with clients whose turnover range from 250k up to sort of 10 million and more, no doubt, as well. Actively manage numerous projects every month, after 40. Teams growing to 20 over the years, been incredible growth. And most recently, there's been a new software released through the business called Macaroni, which Monika will discuss today in more detail, which is all around SEO, all fueled by by AI. So today we're here to discuss everything in regards to the good, the bad, and the ugly of how we scaled the business and the future plans as well. So without further ado, Monika, Sam, tell people who don't know who you are more about yourselves, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Luke. I'm Sam. I'm the founder of Blink and now Macaroni. As you mentioned, I've been involved in e-commerce and SEO for quite a long time now. Cool. So, Monika, pass over to you there.
Thanks. So I'm Monika. I'm the head of commercial at Blink. So look after sales partnerships and all that fun stuff. And I've been in e-commerce for about 10 years now as well. So predominantly in SaaS. But yeah. Here I am.
You quite recently joined the business, Monika, right?
Yeah, 2 months ago now. I think actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 months ago. Yeah.
Very, very, very new.
How's 2 months gone? Has it flown by, Monika?
Yeah, very much so. It feels like I've been there for years.
I'm sorry.
In a good way.
That's a sign of a great employer, that, Sam.
Yeah, so it's going good so far.
Love that. In terms of the business and obviously definitely Macaroni as well, why has e-commerce been the focus for Blink over the last 10 years since it started, and sort of how is Macaroni going to change the way it's looked at as well?
Why we focus on e-commerce is a really interesting subject. I think one of the things that we see in the kind of SEO world a lot is that there seems to be this kind of pattern where someone will do an SEO project and it will work and they think they're great at SEO and they're going to try and apply it to a different kind of business. So you get local businesses like enterprise, e-commerce, SaaS, they're all fundamentally different and require different strategies. We've done a bit of all of them over the years. I've done stuff with the United Nations and universities, and I've done that kind of whole enterprise thing, and I've worked with local plumbers as well, and we found that there's all as I said, there's a different strategy that's required for each of them, and as we kind of progressed, we found that e-commerce felt like a kind of really natural home for what we do. And the reasons, there's a few different reasons for that. And some is, with a kind of SaaS business, so much is content strategy. You need to understand who your audience is, map out a content plan for every possible point of the buying journey. So if you're a kind of SEO agency in that space, really you're kind of like a content partner. And the success of the project is largely to do with the product market fit of the SaaS business, etc. But if you're coming on as an external partner, where people really see SEO as kind of a tactical support, like a tactical service that they bring in, in the SaaS space, it's really hard sometimes. You're saying, actually, you haven't got an SEO problem, you've got a positioning problem, or you're just your categorization for how people think of the business is wrong. And it's really hard to crack those problems if you've been hired as an SEO agency. With e-commerce, the kind of businesses that we work with, typically, if they're on Shopify and they're turning over a decent amount, they've got a product market fit. It's a case of scaling, and we know how to do that, and we can build repeatable processes to be able to do that. So that's the kind of reason that we've narrowed down on e-commerce over the years and why I like it so much. There's obviously challenges with it. It's not like it's and it's not like we've solved all of them either. But this is kind of a space where it's really clear what's required from an SEO project and how to kind of fulfill it, action it.
Makes sense. And Monika, yourself?
Just fell into it very randomly within kind of the e-commerce side of it. Just jumped and started working for an e-commerce business, and then from there, very randomly met someone who worked at a company that I worked at before, and they were like, "Oh, you work in e-commerce? We're actually looking for someone for sales. Send us your CV." And then, so here I am, 10 years later.
Yeah.
It's very random, but I really enjoy e-commerce from the point as well, because you get to work with so many different businesses. And you know, for the bank balance, though, it's not great because you find so many cool businesses. You want to buy everything that everyone sells. But it's, you know, going through that and that problem solving as well for the clients and so on within, whether you're, you know, a SEO agency or you're in SaaS or whatever it is. But with e-commerce, you really get to see that improvement, which is quite a satisfactory feeling. So just fell into it and love it. So just good. It works out well. Yeah.
I should probably have my kind of first experience of e-commerce really was like maybe in like 2002, like selling stuff on eBay was probably like how I entered that kind of world. And then I moved into kind of digital publishing shortly afterwards, and then the two things converged. So it's been
Love that.
Been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes falling into a job is the best way of doing it, isn't it? Rather than being so transfixed on whatever you want to do career-wise. Like, in e-com is such an amazing place to be, as you say, apart from your bank balance going down, because I know for a fact from helping like retailers grow and brands that all I want to do is just wear their clothes, and it's just a never-ending cycle, isn't it?
Exactly. You're like, oh, that looks really cool. I'll buy that. Oh, I'll support them. Like my one purchase will change their whole business. But so you just end up in all the. I feel like the careers like are my best friends at this point.
You stopped talking about sort of your biggest challenges, Sam, a minute ago, but what have you found have been your biggest challenges over the years that you've found from like growing your business within e-com?
Well, I guess there's different challenges at every stage of the business. You know, when you first start out, the kind of obstacles that you've got are very different to where we are now. And I know when we go to the next level as well, the challenges will be completely different. I mean, in e-com, I think there's always the kind of macroeconomic stuff that's going on that has an influence. But again, I was saying to Monika earlier, we've got a war going on in the pandemic and cost of living crisis and all of that stuff. But I can't think of a time that I've been doing this kind of work where there hasn't been a major issue going on. And and it's just a fact of life, isn't it? The kind of businesses have to put up with these kind of like these broader challenges. And yes, it makes it a struggle, but that's just what it is, unfortunately. I think in terms of like the biggest challenges that we faced, I think a lot of it, in the early days of the business, it was finding that kind of direction. We started off as a generalist SEO agency and then moved towards e-commerce, and then we've kind of narrowed down further into Shopify and data and stuff like that. And I think when you're a generalist agency, there's just, it's hard because you haven't really got anything different about you as much as you might think you do. So I think, I'd probably say like early on that was kind of one of the core challenges. Yeah.
Was that always your plan though, Sam? Eventually to be the niche down into a sector? You just didn't know maybe when you started what that might be, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, quite early on, I think we realised, you can't help every business. They need to have all of the materials there for you to be able to succeed. And kind of identifying the right ones is the most important thing. And it's not like oh, sorry, Luke.
No, you go.
I was going to say it's not like there's a shortage of great Shopify stores out there. There's plenty of them. So we're not kind of we're not working in a shallow pool. That's for sure.
No, all I was going to say around SEO is that you mentioned about you've got to be positioned right to also know who your clientele or who your customers are going to be. And I guess that's a difficulty of SEO, isn't it? People think that it's give me a quick win because you can do something that would overnight make a difference. But if you're not positioned properly and don't have the right content out there, like you've got, it's a long process, isn't it, to get things done right?
Yeah, I think one way that you can make things faster is by really knowing your audience.
Yeah.
So, like quite often we speak to brands and they've been approached by an SEO agency and they want to do a discovery stage. We don't really do that because we don't need to discover what's going on because we work on largely work with Shopify stores of a certain type and size. You look at them, you know what the problems are. They know, you know what needs doing. It's not some kind of like big strategic exercise. We've done all that work up front by narrowing down who we work with. And that means really SEO work doesn't have any impact until you start implementing, until you actually start making changes to a site. So you remove that kind of like several month process, and then start doing it right off the bat. All of a sudden you've shaved a whole bunch of time off.
Yep. Very good. If you could talk me through maybe one or a couple of really good examples that you've been involved in across the years of the changes that you've made and what that's meant for a business, in terms of you're definitely using the data side as well. How have you done that, please?
Well, I mean, kind of as a rule of thumb, we tend to see at least a 100% increase in organic revenue after 12 months of working with us. There's plenty of instances where we've seen 1,000% within a few weeks. And that has largely been for the reasons that we've talked about. We don't need to do a big discovery stage. We know exactly what's going on. With a lot of clients that we work with, they have a reasonable sized product catalog. And the reason that's important is because this is something I talk quite a lot about. Basic category pages are a major focus for us because that's where we've seen about 60% of organic revenue comes in to category pages. And what I mean by that is like a blue sofa page with half a dozen sofas on it, or a blue 4-seater, blue 8-seater, blue striped. Those are the pages that really attract that kind of high intent commercial traffic. And we know that if we can scale that effectively, then create more combinations of those pages, it can be a really, really rapid way to see organic revenue increase. How we do that, we've got, so this is kind of how Macaroni started our SaaS platform that we're going to be launching soon. It's essentially a data pipeline that brings in different data sources such as sales data from Shopify, analytics, Google Analytics, Search Console. We extract all the HTML from the site and do some data sciencey bits to it. And the whole purpose of this is to be able to surface more of those opportunities. So we can look at how customers are searching for combinations that aren't potentially reflected in the way the site is organized. They might have a blue sofa section, but it might not be broken down into 4-seat, 8-seat, stripy, wood, finish, whatever. And then we can suggest those new categories and put that. And that's kind of a fundamental part of how we work. And the software side of things is about kind of making all of that process quicker and more efficient.
Then the software element of Macaroni, is that you talked about how it works with the integrations with Shopify and Google Console as well. Does it then give yourselves that live data, or does it go straight into the the client who's then able to instruct about how they would like to focus their efforts?
So at the moment, Macaroni we're kind of launching it with agencies like ourselves first, just because it spits out lots of really great data, but it still requires a degree of interpretation at the moment.
Yeah.
And you do need to know, what you need some kind of SEO experience for it. In future, we are going to be working towards a self-service Shopify app, but I think what I'd be worried about in its kind of current form is it goes out, it suggests 1,000 new categories, and you get a brand owner that just goes, "Hey, brilliant," and they put them all up without thinking about user experience, like the broader picture, and it would just make things a mess. So it needs, it needs that kind of interpretation at this stage.
Amazing. How have you been able to grow your reputation in the market, apart from obviously driving, that 100% increased revenue, which obviously as a highlight, it's not a bad one to shout about, obviously, but how have you been able to do that as well?
I don't think we've got a reputation. I don't think anybody knows who we are.
I think one of the things that I've noticed in the time that I've been here is whenever with any client on any call with partners and so on, we're very transparent, and it's very clear that we're not trying to shove some service to someone, just buy it, take it, and so on. We're actually offering a solution, explaining, why, how, and so on, and then they just want to buy it. But it's, I think, very much of that, and I feel like within the industry in general, you have to be transparent, and you have to not be the pushy car salesman, salesperson. So that otherwise people will see right through that, and you won't get really far. But I feel like because of that transparency and that it comes across on every call, and I think that probably helps with the reputation there.
Thank you, Monica.
I wouldn't answer that.
I was just saying. I think Monica makes a really good point there, especially in our industry. Kind of trust and credibility is in quite short supply. We're deliberately selective with who we work with. I've said, we know we can't help every business, and it's in our interest to really kind of, when we're speaking to people, make sure that we only progress things if we're really confident that we can do something useful.
Yeah, and I guess the next simple question would be how do you do that? Apart from just wanting to work with them because of that brand and stuff, but how do you make sure you pinpoint the right business for Blink?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think this is where, a great example is, if we're thinking about D2C, there's some great brands out there that just fundamentally don't fit search. They're never really going to gather any traffic through inbound, people searching for their products, often because they're just creating a new category that people don't know exists. So, there's a lot of we get approached by fashion streetwear brands that might have 20 SKUs sometimes, and you look in the search data, and it's you get people look up their arrive on the site through brand terms, and then on random searches because they've got a product which might be a hoodie with a Rottweiler on it, and someone searched Rottweiler hoodie. Those brands really, especially when they've only got a few number of SKUs, there's not, it just doesn't really make sense. So a lot of it is kind of making sure that we're kind of upfront about that straight away. If we're approached by one of those brands, we said, "Look, really, you're probably better off doing Facebook ads or something like that." That's going to be the best. Search is probably not the channel that's going to work for you. So I mean, a lot of it is kind of filtering, kind of having those conversations early on.
I say being up front is so important, isn't it? Because that is probably how you've grown your reputation, along with everything else that obviously Monica mentioned earlier on. But if you're just taking on clients and taking on their spend because they think that's the right thing to do, and it doesn't work, and you're not transparent about that, and it very quickly turns the other way, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons the industry has such a bad name because, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of the time people don't even realize, like other agencies or freelancers don't even realize that's what they're doing. They just think, they've had some success and therefore they can apply it to everything. Yeah.
But Monica was going to get in there and say something.
I was just going to say, I just want to Google Rottweiler hoodie now, but
Yeah.
but no, it's very true in general. Sometimes I feel like in our industry, you can't be a yes man. You need to even be a no man more than like saying yes to everything. Give them a chance to to walk away, because then like they actually genuinely have a need and you really have presented everything how it needs to be and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that completely. And obviously, from talking about what we do at IE Recruitment as well, like I at Fulfilled is very, very similar in the sense of I don't want to work with just any and everybody because I just it's not the right thing to do personally. I think you become far too transactional far too quickly if you just work with everybody who approaches you. Like what I want to make sure actually I'm making a difference to both my clients and the candidates.
Yeah.
Could actually really believe in like what that client's trying to do and understanding, they're hiring this position because of this, or this is their like backstory and like this is why you should get behind it. And it's the same. I know it's different industries obviously, but it's the same sort of mentality, is that you've got to really understand and believe you can make that difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be so much easier for you to successfully find a hire for an e-commerce role, isn't it, than it is, if I say, if I approached you and said, okay, we need a data scientist, for example, like, actually, you might know some really good e-commerce data scientists. I don't know. So maybe that's a terrible example.
No, I mean, no, I know what you mean. Like, I know, and it's completely right. And I think I would be honest with you as well. Like, if you told me what you're looking for and I didn't think it was right for me, I could easily sort of give you another name of someone who I would highly recommend because they are specialists in that field. And I don't mind doing that because I want to make sure it's right for you as my partner, basically, as a business partner. So true. In terms of competition in the market, how have you managed to stay ahead? Because as you say, like SEO is usually part of a bigger like strategy within agencies. They've got paid, they've got conversion rate, they've got everything else. How have you, apart from being a specialist in SEO, like what else have you been able to sort of do in terms of keeping your competitors at bay and keeping your clients with you for a long term?
Well, I think you've mentioned the kind of paid side of things. It's really interesting. We've started to develop our paid offering, but we didn't want to just be a business that does PPC and SEO at the same time. Like, so Jess, who's joined us as our head of PPC, I think you know Jess. You know how good she is.
She's fantastic. Yeah. Shout out to Jess. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope she watches this.
Yeah.
We record this little bit and
Exactly.
so all of the kind of work that we do with Jess is about integrating the two channels. Like if you've got a business that's working successfully for Google Ads, it should work successfully for SEO. The user journey is basically this, like is really similar in most instances. And I think the data work that we're doing allows us to do interesting things about kind of surfacing opportunities from both channels and combining them into a more integrated strategy that especially makes sense for e-commerce. I think the other kind of point of differentiation that we've got over other businesses, there's this horrible trope in the market, especially in the technical marketing world, about people being data driven. But that normally means they can do Excel they might be able to do a VLOOKUP or something like that. We have data specialists on the team. We've got Ian, our CTO, is PhD in machine learning. Joshua, our data scientist, maths PhD. Alex has got a master's degree in data engineering. He's our data engineer. So we have proper data capabilities across the team. And I think it's great saying that stuff. And so you can say, oh, we're data driven. Oh, we really are. But the point is that that allows us to do things faster and at a greater scale. I think a lot of clients that we work with are in that kind of SME space, but we're using enterprise level technology and kind of methodology for those projects.
Nice.
I would say
In
also,
terms of a client,
Sorry, Monica.
go on, Monica,
No,
go.
that's all right. I was going to just say, outside of just like kind of the technical side and that, going back to the previous answer as well, I think because of the approach that we take in general in communication, that I think also helps us stay ahead of the competition, because we're coming across, which is also accurately coming across as we know what we're doing, and we're not, again, like trying to push something on someone. So I think that definitely helps, because no one likes a hard sell being done on them. So yeah, I would say the approach as well, definitely.
In terms of onboarding clients, how does that work? Again, without giving all away, all your trade secrets, Sam, but making sure that you get those guys involved in the discovery piece. You talked about obviously your CTO and your data scientists. How does it all intertwine?
Okay, so again, this is one of the things that kind of happened that led to the Macaroni project, really.
Okay.
So we say that other agencies will charge maybe a paid discovery project. We don't do that because we don't need to, because we've developed the kind of processes and tools to achieve the same thing in a fraction of the time. So the first thing that we do when we speak to anybody is we connect to their store through our software, which connects to the analytics and Search Console APIs, also pulls out data from kind of various other sources. And then that way we can quickly go in and see what's going on. And as part of the proposal, that's what we look at. Historically, what's happened, has the work that's been carried out had a positive, negative impact? Where are the opportunities? Are there any kind of technical challenges that are holding back? So that's that's a big part. And it does mean that when a project goes ahead, we've got everything queued up and we can just go straight in and start making those changes.
Amazing. Hence why Macaroni was born, and here we are, I guess, in terms of the next phase.
Exactly. I mean, we're not the only SEO agency in the world. We know that there are lots of businesses doing what we do that are struggling with certain kind of problems, and that's where the platform has been the reason for the platform existing.
Yeah, and this is where Monica's going to smash it and shine and be incredible.
Exactly.
Absolutely no pressure.
No
It's
pressure.
been great already, even before we've launched. There's no question there.
Yeah,
Love
so
that.
wait.
Very good. I mean, we talked about Macaroni, which obviously is incredible, and it sounds like that's going to be like a bit of a game changer in terms of what you're going to add to your clients and to the market as well. But move on to a bit more around like the growth of the business, if that's okay. So obviously I know the business is sort of 10 years roughly sort of old. You've sort of grown to 20 people. Like, how have you been able to keep that, I guess, one same passion for it, Sam, like day in, day out? How do you keep coming back to like loving it and keeping because you hear about, founders who grow businesses who then like don't enjoy being the daily grind of it all or whatever. But how have you been able to, I guess, keep interested and involved, and like, what's driving you for the next 10 years and the next lot of people to join you?
Oh my God, 10 years. No, I mean, joking aside, like, I do really enjoy what we do. I think there's so much interesting stuff going on, kind of learning new things all the time. The direction that we're going as a business, I think, is really, really exciting. We're doing things that no other company of our type or size is doing. I genuinely feel like, I'm pretty sure that that we're doing things that no one else is, and that makes it a lot of fun. There's a huge amount of potential in what we're doing, and then that's one reason. I mean, I've got a great team as well. I'm really lucky. A lot of the team have been with us for a long time as well. Some of which I've worked with other businesses as well. So I'm grateful that they've decided to stick around. Those are the core reasons, I think.
To be very modest there, Sam, to be honest. But Monica, from your point of view, as someone who's joined the business, like what is it that you've been, apart from obviously you've talked about, the team being just so transparent with clients, but from like an onboarding point of view, if you will, like what is it you've found that's, I guess, been a bit different maybe to others that like Blink / Macaroni have done so well?
That's a good question.
It takes too long to answer.
No, it's been really good. Like everyone's been, just if you need any help, everyone's there to help and assist and so on. To be fair, onboarding was I just jumped straight in, so didn't really get I trained whilst then doing things as well. I just wanted to get started. Which I think that works for me, and the fact that I was able to essentially get onboarded in a way that worked for me was actually quite helpful and useful as well, rather than just going through this is the process, just go with it, and then maybe at a different pace or so on. So because I've always been a way learn by doing. That's the best way I have to learn it, and that's the only way you can really learn it, in my opinion. So from that point, it's been really good, and everyone's, as I said, just been available if anything's needed. But at the same time, what's been really great, because I've worked for different kind of managements in the past, but one of the things, so there are some hit and misses and so on along the way, but one thing that's been really good as well is I'm just kind of trusted to do my thing left, as long as progress is, something's happening. I'm not being questioned every day, are you doing this, what you're doing, and so on. So it's been very helpful in that way as well, because then I can just crack on with what I need to be doing, just then ask someone for whether it's help, question this or whatever it might be, only when it's needed, and that also saves everyone else time as well without messaging all the time and stuff. So it's been really good. That's
Amazing.
it, I think.
I mentioned this in the top of our intro, the 4-day-a-week, Sam. How did that come about? What made that change? Apart from, I'm not sure if you're enjoying a day off to play some golf, or what it was that made you drive to 4-day-a-week, but what was it that made the decision? It wouldn't have been golf. Okay, fine.
I'll keep my opinions on golf to myself. I think that's probably
okay. Fine.
I think that already was an opinion.
So I think we were one of the first agencies in the UK to bring in a 4-day week. And it's been I think it's 5 years now. It's not 4, somewhere between 4 and 6. I don't know how many. But the reason it came about, and I think this is something probably a lot of people would be able to identify with, and that's you get to Friday afternoon, you're exhausted, and not really much gets done. And I found that just kind of you finish earlier and earlier to the point where, is there any actual point to doing it? And I think at the time, it was when some studies have been done, some trial projects have been carried out in New Zealand, I think, or some other place. They kind of caught my eye, and I spoke to James, who's now our operations director, about it. And then we raised it on, I broached it with him on April the 1st, and he thought it was an April Fool's thing. But I mean, we've been doing it for so long now that I can't imagine doing anything any other way. I've taken part probably in about half a dozen academic studies on it as well, which has been really interesting, where universities or kind of research groups, or there was an NGO over in Italy that contacted us recently about it. A lot of people are still focusing on the idea of productivity. That's the trigger for people making the switch. Can we be as productive with by doing it as by working 4 days as with 5. And that feels like just such an old argument to me now, because we've been doing it for so long. We're kind of past that. Yes, you can be more productive, but all of the other stuff that goes along with it is, it's so much better. I think the kind of well-being and retention and ability to attract talent and all of that stuff kind of far outweighs like the productivity argument. Considering how fundamentally unproductive most businesses are anyway, it's probably not what they should be worried about.
Yeah, fair. I do it been a long time, because I remember seeing you doing it all them years ago and thinking what a cool idea it was, and I guess why weren't more people doing it.
It's great in an agency space being able to do it, and especially as we don't do anything that's time sensitive. Like, all our stuff is project based. We control the kind of roadmap for when stuff's delivered. So, it's not like we're taxi drivers or work in hospitals or stuff like that, where you need to be available all the time. And our clients are great and they all understand it. And, we've got a kind of rhythm to it that works well.
This might be a silly question, and apologies if it is, but do you all have the same day off in the team, or do you sort of split it? So some of you okay, you're nodding. So
every Friday.
Yeah, every Friday. Although, actually, I say that some of the team, like for childcare stuff, like might stagger their hours in a different way, or there's flexibility there. But by and large, it's like Fridays off.
it's Fridays. So I should be privileged for doing this on a Friday, should I?
Yes, you are. You are indeed.
I feel so lucky. I feel so lucky.
Well, to be fair, it was a bank holiday this week, so we shift it.
Okay.
One of the weird things about doing a 4-day week actually is how like most of the teams see bank holidays as an annoyance now rather than a kind of a bonus, because we shift the day. It just means everything's a bit out of sync.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect that to happen. It's quite a funny outcome, I think.
It's a cool thing. Just everyone having Fridays off. It means just that flexibility, right? I'm thinking about, like if me and my wife and my 2 kids wanted to go away for a long weekend, like I could have just even said, let's go on a Friday. You're not taking annual leave. You're not having to worry about a client calling you or any projects being delivered. You can easily just, it's almost like extra annual leave, isn't it, in a sense? But you're actually just different way of doing it.
No, exactly.
We've
But
got,
also,
oh no, go on.
sorry, I was just going to say some like work-life balance as well, because the weekend is never long enough. Like, no matter whether it's
No.
busy, not busy, it's just never long enough. But and then it ends up being, you're doing your laundry, or you're doing this or whatever, the chores, and you need to go to the post office or whatever it might be. You end up doing that on your weekend, and then it's even less of that. Whereas now on a Friday, one, it's great when everyone else goes to work and you don't have to. So that's a big bonus. But then the second is like you actually do get to have more of that work-life balance. Like 2 months of, for me so far, 4-day weeks, loving it. I don't think I could ever go back to 5-day week.
Yeah.
Because it gives you so much more flexibility. And then Saturday comes, you're like, oh, I still have 2 more days. This is great. So, and yeah, it definitely improves, I would want to say, morale and just, you get more done as well, actually, I find, in those 4 days than you would if you had the 5 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's several people on the team, including myself, with kids as well, and the whole childcare thing makes a big difference. I think there's people, some people are having to pay less nursery fees because they're at home, and that does. I know
Massive difference. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of bonuses to it. I mean, I'd love to say that everybody should do it, but we're just in a lucky position where we can. And I know that's not the case for everybody. So as much as I'm an evangelist for it, I'm also kind of have to be a bit realistic as well.
Yeah. And then last question on the 4-day week, do your hours contractually, you just do more Monday through Thursday in terms of the hours you do, or do you just do the same?
No, we're 9 to 5:30 Monday to Thursday. That's it.
Amazing. So cool. Monica's like, yeah, this is wicked. I guess imagine you wake up in the morning just doing that out the window so everyone going to work on the Friday.
She does that every day. It's a real problem.
Just every day. To people who have to actually go somewhere as well. I just wake up, get ready, and go a few steps, and there I am. But now the best thing as well, because well, as majority of people do, but like my boyfriend does 5-day week, as you know, as most people, and then
Normal,
every
yeah.
Friday it's I'm there at 7 a.m. I'm like, goodbye. I'm gonna stay here. So no, it's
Just gonna
good.
roll over and back to sleep. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I feel really, really happy for you guys to do that. I can't wait to be able to do that down the line.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you're on your own, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just not really. I'm sure it's not feasible. So again, I know it's not something everybody can wave a magic wand and it happen.
Yeah.
But we're just lucky.
Love that. Okay, last one for you guys today, if that's okay, is key
course.
takeaways from, I guess, like your Blink so far, like and the sort of plan for the future. What would you say if you're given another person who has set up an agency or a business, wherever it is, like a little golden nugget, like what would you say, Sam, would be for you that you would give someone?
I suppose if someone's setting up an agency, it probably would be to specialize and to go deeper than you might. Actually, this was a bit of advice that I was given as well that I always think is good. Like a specialism should make you feel slightly uncomfortable, as in that it's you've gone too narrow, slightly too narrow.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely right because there's a lot of opportunity out there. And it's so much easier to make the most of those when you're doing something very specific.
Yeah.
I think that would be the probably number one.
Love that. Amazing. Thank you ever so much, both of you. It's been amazing speaking to you about the business around the software, 4-day week. Obviously, that's definitely been a huge thing to sort of think about long term. And I think also, like, just from me, I know I said this, Sam, when we first spoke about doing the podcast, I've kept like an eye on Blink. You say you don't have a reputation. You said that earlier on. I find that hard to believe because I've known about you guys for years and have always heard like amazing things.
Okay, that's good.
And yeah, you just seem so chilled a bit. Well, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I mean, my message to you guys is to keep smashing that. You're doing an incredible job, and you guys are just great. Like, you're just good people, which I think, as you say, goes a hell of a long way in business, right? This got brought up in one of my last podcasts, and I know that a number of my old bosses and clients have got it on their walls, but in essence, just don't be a dick. Like, as simple as that sounds. If you can just be a bit more like human about things and just be upfront and honest, it does make a huge difference.
It does.
100%.
It does. It's not easier said than done sometimes. But.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we do try.
Absolutely. But no, thank you both so much. And I can't wait to see the next 12 months holds for you guys.
Cheers, Luke. Yeah, it's been great chatting
Thanks
to you.
very much.
Thank you.